Hi, I think we're live. We'll give it an extra minute just to let the last couple join. But hello. You get to sit and watch me. Let's get stuck in. So, hi, welcome to Lizzie Daly's live lessons, Earth live lessons. My lovely sharp Bruce. This is such a great idea. I've been loving watching them come through. I'm Evie Furness, and I'm going to chat to you all about underwater gardening and what that kind of means. So I'm a marine biologist in Wales, down at Swansea University. I'm working on a project called Seagrass Ocean Rescue, alongside WWF and Sky Ocean Rescue. And we've taken on this massive aim to plant 2 hectares of a little something called seagrass. So I'll come back around to that. First off, I just want to tell you how I got here. So when I left school, I didn't really have a clue what to do. I kind of thought about maybe going into nursing, maybe going into like psychology. I ended up taking a place to do a maths degree. Thankfully, I was saved from that because I learned to dive. It wasn't anything glamorous. I went to a quarry pit under Heathrow Airport, and it was so cold. And I went to do the classic check on your buddy. So I was like, okay, how are you doing? And I was holding my buddy's hand, and the water was so murky that all I could see was my buddy's hand. And first thought, I was like, oh, I hope there is a body attached to this hand. Second thought, I was like, I've got to know more about this. It's so cool. I've got to do some more diving. So I scooted on out to the Great Barrier Reef in Australia, and I was fortunate enough that when in 2003, I'd already been out to the Great Barrier Reef. So in 2003, I went out, and I've got memories of so much colour and life and creatures and animals everywhere. And I was expecting that when I went back in 2014. But I got in, and the same part of the Great Barrier Reef, there was just not that much colour, not much life at all. And it was so sad to see, and I just had to know more and know what I could do to help this. So skip forward a few years, I got a degree in marine biology, didn't do the maths, thank you, and a little bit more work, and I've discovered complete love for the unsung heroes of our sea, and that is seagrass. So what is this seagrass thing? I'm going to do all questions at the end, so hopefully I'll give you a good taste along the way. But seagrass is pretty simple. It's grass that lives under the sea. It's the only plant that's adapted to live in the marine environment. It looks a little thing like this. So you can see these nice long leaves underwater. And just like plants on land, it needs to make food. And it does that by taking in sunlight, taking in carbon dioxide, mushing that all up in a process called photosynthesis. And that creates energy, it creates the plant's food to let it grow and live. So that process is really important itself. That taking in of carbon dioxide makes seagrass an amazing carbon store. It locks all this carbon away in our seabed. So good that it's so good that some scientists think that one species is about 35 times faster at doing that than a pristine tropical rainforest. We don't have that much pristine tropical rainforest, so that's pretty big. It's helping in our fight against climate change. So it's mushed up that carbon dioxide and light energy and made its own food, and it's letting out oxygen. So I want everyone to just stop. And those watching along, we can see we've got a few viewers. Can you take 3 deep breaths with me? So 1, 2, and 3. Good lot of breathing there. 2 out of 3 of those breaths will have come from the ocean. Our oceans provide about 2/3 of the oxygen we breathe. So some of that air you just took in, some of that oxygen, will have come from a seagrass meadow. It's pretty cool. So I want you to take a time today to peer out your window, or if you've got a garden, go into your garden and just watch some of the plants that are coming into bloom. Look at some of those flowers, and hopefully you'll be lucky enough to see bumblebees going from flower to flower to flower, pollinating these plants. And this allows the plant to produce seeds and make more plants. We've got the same thing in our seagrass meadows. So underwater, we've got lots of bright, vibrant flowers, which is pretty cool in itself. But bumblebees aren't great underwater. They're not good swimmers. So instead, we've got little crabs, little fish, small shrimp going from flower to flower to flower, pollinating in much the same way. And all these little animals, all these little critters, they love to be in our seagrass meadow because we've got all these like leaves swooshing around everywhere. And that just makes amazing amounts of hiding spaces. And for other big fish that might want to eat them, it gives them loads of food, and it's a really good opportunity for baby fish and small animals to get bigger and replenish our fishery stocks. So the next task we've got, the mammoth task, is we want to plant 2 hectares. So I'll give you a little bit of perspective. If you've ever been to a rugby pitch or can imagine standing on the pitch of a rugby match and think how big that rugby pitch is, to me that is huge. And then imagine 2 rugby pitches and imagine them both underwater. That's what we're aiming for. And the key for us was volunteers. Without all our volunteers, people like you guys at home helping us, we could not have done this. So the first thing we needed was some seeds. This meant we donned our scuba diving gear. So I've got a nice snorkel and mask here, ready to go. We jumped into the sea and we went along hand picking seeds. The seeds look a little something like this. Ooh, if I can get that. So that sort of size, that kind of colour. But whilst they're on the seagrass, they actually look more like a peas in a pod. So we can go along picking those. And this was amazing because while we were doing all this picking last summer, we were just off the coast of the UK, but we had dolphins come swim with us. They're like torpedoes, they're terrifying. We had sharks, not quite as big as this guy, but we had sharks. We had seals. We had rays, we had fish. It was a complete hotspot for biodiversity. If we'd been in the tropics, we might have been lucky enough to have things like my friend the turtle and the manatee here, which both love eating seagrass. So yeah, it was amazing. What a way to spend your summer. Got a few people saying, can they come and help? Of course you can. Follow us on Project Seagrass. We need volunteers for next round this summer, once it's safe to get out and do so. So Then we had to take all those seeds back to our lab in Swansea, and they needed separating out from the seagrass material. We thought this was going to be an all right task because the seagrass material, in theory, when it rots, it floats to the top and all the seeds then drop out down to the bottom. So we could just come to our seagrass tank, scoop the seeds out the bottom, and happy days. In reality, it needed a little bit more encouragement. So we were up to our elbows for a good couple of months in rotting seagrass, and can tell you now, that absolutely stinks. It's like rotting earthy egg. We had to get home from work and it'd be like straight in the shower, not staying smelling like that. So we've got our seeds separated out, and now we need to give them the best chance of survival. So I called upon the best helpers I've ever had, and that was kids. They just got so stuck in, and they were so much quicker than adults. They were amazing. All our little seeds, they needed homes. And because of the area we were covering, we needed to make 20,000 of these homes. So our homes were small little bags, little Hessian bags about this size, filled with sand, and then popped the seeds in the top. The Hessian bags will naturally rot down and biodegrade, but it gives a chance for the seagrass seeds to establish into little seedlings without the shore crabs just coming along and eating all the seeds. So we weren't just feeding the shore crabs and letting the currents wash our seeds away. So thank you to all those kids that helped make 20,000 of these little bags and tie them on to 20 kilometres of rope. 20 kilometres, it was a lot. So then the February just gone was the time for us to get our first lot of seagrass seeds in the water. And again, we're so thankful for the volunteers, so please come get involved with the rest of the project, because without our volunteers, we couldn't have done this part either. We had volunteers from all over the UK, coming from everywhere, to come and be out in the cold, lifting heavy boxes of sand and seagrass, getting soaked through, doing repetitive tasks, just to get all those seeds in the water. So very thankful to all of them, and we now have about 1.5 hectares, so 1.5 rugby pitches underwater in West Wales, which hopefully is growing big and strong. So we've kind of already mentioned what a couple of good things about seagrass, but I want to make it really clear why we're doing it. So we're doing it because of that carbon store, amazing carbon store. It's giving us oxygen. I like breathing. We've also touched on how all the leaves swishing around makes great hiding spaces with plenty of food for fish and animals. But it also does some pretty cool other things, like it protects our coastlines when there's big storms coming in. It slows down that storm energy. It absorbs some of the pollution out of our water. But over the last century, in the UK alone, we have lost about 92% of our seagrass meadows. So I tried to draw that out, excuse my pictures, but if you imagine each one of these is a little seagrass meadow, then that circle down the bottom of this one is all we've got left. That's crazy. We need to act right now to save and restore the seagrass meadows we've got. So we need to do things like think about what's going down our drain, because that'll end up in the ocean, what we're chucking away, how seagrass friendly is our lifestyle. So hopefully you're all kind of convinced now that our little humble seagrass is worth restoring and worth all the effort we've been putting in, and are wanting to help out. Before I answer the couple of questions that are coming up, I just want to say please follow Project Seagrass on @Project Seagrass on all social medias. And there's going to be some links down below to our website where we've got worksheets, we've got colouring in, we've got blogs on how to be a conservationist whilst in isolation, lots of things like that going on the website. And I'd also like to announce something really exciting, that we are starting a competition to get a little bit arty, to make a seagrass scene out of anything you can find in the house. So whether that's paint, Play-Doh, stitching, whatever you can. And you've got until the 31st of May to get a picture of your artwork to us. So I'll answer a couple of questions. What we've got. Where do I go to volunteer and swim with the dolphins? Well, the dolphins were in North Wales, in Clyn Peninsula. Follow the Project Seagrass volunteers page and you'll see opportunities coming up to come and help pick seagrass seeds come July, August time. There are about 72 species of seagrass worldwide. It's on every continent except Antarctica. So you should be able to get out and find some if you're near a beach. Sewage is a huge threat to seagrass, absolutely right. It's one of the biggest ones is our water quality being degraded by water pollution, because all those extra nutrients that we're putting in the water means that algae can just take off and grow and grow and grow. And this algae then covers the seagrass. We were saying earlier how the seagrass needs light. If there's a big layer of algae, the light isn't reaching our seagrass, so it gets smothered and dies. But it's not the only threat. Another big thing is dredging, just tearing up all those seagrass meadows in one hit. Anchoring, so people trunking their anchors over the side of the boat whilst going over a seagrass meadow will rip a hole in it. And once you've got that hole, it gives a chance for water currents to move through and rip the hole further and further, so destabilising our seagrass meadow and making it more and more vulnerable. We'll move on to our favourite seagrass fact. That's kind of a difficult one. I think I really love, and it's a bit of an obscure one, that there are communities, I think it's the Surrey community, that use the seagrass seeds to make a porridge. They make and also use some seeds on the top as a like crunchy bit. But how cool is that? Like people are eating seagrass seeds. After smelling it rot down, I'm not so keen, but I love that it's got so many different uses all over the world. So thanks for all these great comments coming in. I hope we can get out and get diving to save the world again very soon. I'm itching to do so. I think I've been having live streams of various underwater scenes on the go all the time, just to feel like I'm back out in the water. There is some other great Earth Live lessons going on that you should really check out. I know that the next one will be at 2:00 today, learning all about British birdsong, which I know I definitely need to learn a bit more about. So check those out, and thank you for watching.